Steven Universe. My favorite love-hate show. It does a lot of things really well, and it does other things terribly. But unfortunately for me, the show has ended. Luckily, I have these cheesy Steven Universe PSAs to talk about. A lot of people mistranslated my first Steven Universe PSA video, where the message was, you need to acknowledge racism in order to fight against it, while they're also ignoring the much bigger problem of same-sex couples, which about 10 times the people have a problem with, and even then that might be an under-exaggeration. I'm cool with bringing a robot girl to meet my mother and father board, even if she is a different bacon model than me. But if I bring home a male robot, I'm probably going to be taken out of the will. Some people even accused me of trying to pit gay people and black people against each other because I briefly mentioned that there's a lot of homophobia in the black community that we almost never talk about. And now I know why we never talk about it. Because if you even briefly bring it up for 5 seconds, apparently you want a black on gay war. Now my second video covering a Steven Universe PSA was received far more better. But even then some people mistranslated me, I suspect some of them did it on purpose, claiming I wanted black people to be erased from the history books. So I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I'm not really against the messages they're spreading in these PSAs. I just think they don't go about them in the best way, and sometimes the way they reach their conclusions are a bit bizarre. So the two PSAs we're going to go over is See Color and Be an Ally.
Color blindness is our game because everyone's the same.
Oh my god. This is communist propaganda. It must be destroyed. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I'm 14.5% Liberty Prime. On my motherboard side of the family, that is.
Everybody join our circle. Doesn't matter if you're white or black or purple. What the? Whoa. Hold up a minute here. Ugh, who wrote this? I think it kind of does matter that I'm purple. I mean, I'm purple because I'm literally an alien.
Yeah, when people send me this video, this is why I didn't want to cover it, because I definitely agree with this part. And if I disagreed with it, I would be a massive hypocrite because I did a whole video on why allegories for discrimination don't work. You can't really compare being black or gay to shooting lasers out of your eyes. Someone who shoots lasers out of their eyes is absolutely biologically different from most people. Taking a race that exists in real life and turning it into a monster might be taken the wrong way by a few people. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is you can't really compare being LGBT or black to, shooting fucking lasers out of your eyes. I'm a fire in my leg. And gems are even further from that. Their bodies are made out of a hard light construct. The main biological similarities they have to humans is something they choose to have through shape-shifting.
Adding purple people into a lesson about human racism makes no sense.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. I think people like the black, white, or purple thing because adding a fantasy race in there helps distract from the actual racism black people have to deal with.
Whoa, now, that's a bit of an odd conclusion to come to. Now, I'm glad this child says, I think, they're not saying it as a fact, but in the Christian song, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Obviously, black and white are supposed to represent, black and white people, and red and yellow are probably supposed to represent Asians and Native Americans. But I have heard some people say, I don't care if you're black, white, brown, Native American, blue, or purple. I don't see color. Everybody is equal to me. While there are a few people with blue skin, yes, that is true, you can look this up. It's extremely rare and is caused by either chemicals or birth defects. But when they bring up purple people, I think they're just trying to make a slight joke about what they're talking about, and not thinking to themselves, yes, I will bring up purple people to distract from the racism black people face.
Right. My experience with anti-black racism is really specific.
Is this one of those pandas eat shoots and leaves moment? Like, I get what she's saying, but you can translate it as, anti-black racism, as in she has to deal with people who are anti-black racist, as in they're against black racism, but I get what she's supposed to be saying. What she means is racism that is anti-black.
Other people of color experience other forms of racism too, but you won't see any of that if you don't see color.
So this is one of my major issues with the term person of color. It translates into literally anyone who isn't white. The problem I have with this term is I truly believe that further down the road, it is going to cause problems. If you don't know someone's race, it's fine to call them a POC until you do know their race. And if they're cool with being called a POC, yes, you can call them a POC. The problem I have with it is it feels like you're saying those are the others, and it could cause division by lumping everybody who isn't white into the same category. And I also feel like the writer's using this line,
Other people of color experience other forms of racism too,
is somewhat implying that white people never experience racism or can't experience racism, which I disagree with. She could have said how other people experience racism, then how other people of color experience racism. Remember in either 2016 or 2017 when that white guy was kidnapped by those 4 black people and they tortured him and made him drink toilet water? I remember this black girl who I was friends with saying, "Whoa now, those people aren't racist, they're prejudiced, there's a difference." To which I said, I don't care about prejudice plus power. In this situation, they have power over him. This is racism. If you're more concerned over the definition of racism than people being blatantly racist, then shut up.
Dude, so this entire public service announcement could be a ploy to avoid talking about racism altogether.
Whoa now, that's a bit of an odd conclusion to come to. The whole term colorblind racism kind of seems a bit odd to me. If everybody was colorblind and we all treated people equally, then yes, racism would end. The problem is, everyone has to do that. It's good not to treat people differently because of their ethnicity, but always remember, just because you don't treat them differently doesn't mean everybody else does the same. But overall, I do agree with the message of this episode. You can't really compare being an alien to being black or white. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this PSA is they go against their message in basically the next part.
For today's lesson...
Cheese it, Greg! Let's get out of here! Oh, why did we do this?
What? The anti-racism shorts?
We're not human, so who are we to speak for human people of color?
Well, yeah, you can't do that, but you can speak for yourselves. You're allies.
Allies?
Explain.
Well, anyone can be anti-racist. It can't only be up to marginalized people to speak out. That would be totally unfair.
So, I agree that you shouldn't compare a fictional alien race to a black person. But no, you also shouldn't do? Compare a white person wanting to help out a marginalized group to an alien species wanting to help out a marginalized group.
But it does. I used to think racism wasn't my problem because it wasn't hurting me. But every time I didn't fight it, I let systemic racism continue.
The problem is the definition that Steven Universe has for systemic racism is that we don't briefly mention in classrooms, by the way, there were a few black cowboys, and the light bulb was invented by Lewis Latimer, which is not systemic racism. Don't get me wrong, you can make a good argument for how our history books do whitewash our history, which is a form of systemic racism, but Steven Universe really didn't go in the best way about it. I mean, they could have used the Egyptian example. It's such an easy one to make. But all in all, while the Steven Universe PSAs are far from perfect, I think Greg says it best himself.
And sure, talking about this stuff means you might mess up. But you can learn and you can care.
And I really can't argue with that logic. But one thing I can say is that the crystal gems were around for over 5,000 years, and there was plenty of slavery and racial discrimination going around at those times, and they did nothing to help with it. They are a part of the problem.